Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is about to be game number 1 in a best-of-7 series between H2O and Mongo10 for the semi-finals of this event. This is possibly one of the most anticipated matchups of this tournament so far, I would say. H2O and Mongo10, if you head on over to ESO-community.net and scroll down a bit, you will see currently represent number 1 and place number 2 on the ELO ladder. They are both up there, so to speak. First and second place currently, and both of these players taking it very, very seriously. I've been speaking to Ryan. I haven't been speaking to Mongo, but I have noticed him playing many a game versus his practice partners. Has 5-4-3-2-1 being one of those people. I'm sure he's been playing against others as well. H2O, for the last couple of days now, has been playing lots of practice games. So both of them, at the very least, taking this very, very seriously. Both of these players clearly in it to win it here. And that's the key thing to think about, I think. Of course, my name is Interjection. I'll be casting this alongside Umeu, who I haven't spoken to in a long time. How are you doing, Umeu?
Yeah, I'm doing quite all right.
You looking forward to this?
Indeed, it has been a long time since we have spoken, but I've been playing the game casually. Yeah. And then for the tournament, I tried to get back in it, but sadly, I couldn't make it past Goon.
Yes, that's... well, Goon, pretty good player. That series against Lord Raphael was absolutely insane. But for those of you that don't know, Umeu, I'd say one of the people I've known the longest, certainly on ESO, go back quite a long way with, and taught me a lot of the things that I know back on Vanilla. So Umeu I have a lot of respect for, certainly very strong player. Currently PR25, really, no, but you've been Brigadier up there before, just like Mongo here.
I played mostly on my Armada account.
Yes.
Yeah, you basically become Armada. Umeu isn't really you anymore. But yeah, for those that don't know, Umeu is also Armada, but let's get this underway. Very, very excited to be casting with you, Umeu. Lots and lots of... You've been playing for a very long time. That thing is, if not anything else, absolutely clear. But game number 1 has begun. The first matchup, by the looks of it, will be India vs China on Manchuria. Spawning in the color blue, we will have H2O. He will be playing the Indians, and once the map loads in, we'll be able to see where he spawns on the south of the map there. And this map's pretty good, I think, for both civs, given that there are livestock. Both players will be wanting to grab those, since, of course, India will get the XP bonus from them, and China, well, they have livestock pens effectively as their villages. So livestock going to be valuable. Both players have the 2 explorers for searching for that. So I think, Umeu, one of the key important things we're going to be looking out for in this Age 1 is the conflict over the cows and how the players balance collecting the cows with the treasures that are available.
And also the 2 wood treasures that are always spawning on the map, and that this time spawn both in on the south side near HO's side of the map.
I found one. 85 wood is, and the other one is to the north of that up here. 90 wood as well. Yeah, both on H2O's side, but that doesn't mean by any means that Mongo will not be able to get over there and find them. He could find himself over there, but currently, neither player anywhere near those treasures right now. Actually, might come across it with this yak. I like that. Maybe bringing it to find the treasures. Maybe do some scouting there. But both players frantically looking for cows. H2 off to a nice start with 3 yaks though.
Actually, not entirely true. Mongo is going for a treasure instead of going for the cow. So this gives Ryan a big advantage in the cow war. He already has 6, and the Mongo only has 1.
I can't see his explorer. Where is it?
It's taking.
Oh, here it is. I couldn't see the star on the map. Am I actually blind? 60 food. So, what does that entail? Do you think? Perhaps Mongo here. Then, if he's not looking for the cows, he's perhaps not in it for the long game as much. Perhaps he has something shorter in mind. That's, can't draw too much from it now, but it's certainly on the table. He's valuing 60 food over scouting for livestock, which is by far one of the more important things to do on a map with livestock.
Yeah. I think he went for the cows that's supposed to spawn in the middle, but H2O beat him to it.
Yeah, there was.
He just decided to, it was just like, H2O is going to beat me to the side of the map if I go there, so he just went for the treasure.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, although might not be the best choice in this case.
So you think that he was going for some cows, and certainly did get 1 yak, but clearly the winner of this Age 1 so far does seem to be H2O, an enormous amount of yaks there. He's going to be really, really pleased with that. And now going for the 85 wood treasure, so could be picking up.
8 yaks, and Mongo will get 3. So, to be honest, against H2O, it's really hard to get yaks. I practiced this matchup with him before the game, and I actually know what he will do, but I'll keep it a secret for viewers until it happens. But he has prepared for this matchup, so
yeah, he's been going hard on the map,
and he will probably get the 91 too, and that's really going to it's going to be good for any build, but particularly for his build order, it will be really good.
Yeah, 90 wood always valuable, especially as India. 2 wood treasures though. H2O going to be really, really pleased with that. He's seen it. He's obviously waiting. I think he's waiting for the stuns to recharge, and then he can go in there with the elephants, just waiting for those ultimates to sort of recharge. And they're now going for that. 1 stun off, the 2nd stun off, and now just going to area damage away here. But for those of you who perhaps are watching this as a VOD, or maybe on the stream, but are new to Age of Empires 3, I think now we're briefly going to cover what this matchup is normally, and what we can usually expect from out of this. So here, in the south of the map, we do have H2O, and in the north of the map, Mongo10 playing as China. So so far, H2O has indeed sent the wood trickle villager. India do not have villager shipments, but they do get the wood trickle there. Nice bonus.
Karnimata going up from H2O, so that already shows that he will not play the traditional playstyle.
Okay. So something different on the. I wonder if that Carney's in range of that back coin mine though. The range on it is quite small. That would be really suck if that back. It should be close enough.
I think it's barely in range.
Yeah.
If he puts his vills between the town center and the mine, then yeah. If he puts it on between the trading post and the mine, then probably not.
Yeah, okay. Well, Karnimata, that's really different. So for those that don't know, this effectively is economic theory. It's just a wonder that gives your villagers all bonus gather rates to anyone sort of in range there. Trading post as well as India. Okay. We'll have to keep an eye on what H2O has done. But let's briefly cover what Mongo10 is up to. Here's his Explorer waiting to pick up that 55 coin treasure. I would imagine be going for that shortly. But China has, of course, built 2 villages early on and sent northern refugees, which musters 1 villager at the town centre, and obviously the 2 villages is going to be going up by the looks of it with the Summer Palace, I think, until I switch over to text being researched.
Yeah, it's the Summer Palace. It's the standard wonder that China ages with, that gives 400 food, and it spawns a banner army every 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. Nice. Going for that 55 coin treasure now. But H2O... adding in the second trading route here, so this is clearly, with the Karnimata, a much more economic-focused build. Perhaps he's going to go for Stagecoach really early on. He's certainly, I think, almost able to get that. He's gathering the wood for it almost up to the next stage as well. But, yeah, this is very different coming out from India. I'm really excited to see what H2O has planned, perhaps. But, Umeu, do you want to briefly... I mean, we don't know what H2O's up to until we see his first shipment, at least. But yeah, would you like to tell us more about what Mongo10's up to? What can we expect from China, usually?
From Mongo10, we can expect 700 coin coming out as his first shipment, followed by a 700 wood. We can see that he's eating a yak now just to get up his age up a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And most likely we will see the Confusion Palace, the tower age up to H3, but we might see the Confusion Academy wonder. Depends on how aggressive he wants to be. Both builds have their both builds work against other matchups, but I think that he will go for a tower.
Yeah, there it is, 700 coin coming in from him, doing exactly all of the things you mentioned. Going to be going up to the Fortress Age, a fast Fortress agenda. Wants to get up ultimately to the Fortress Age as fast as possible and get those unit shipments rolling and get the big China Death Ball mass out on its way, and of course has that choice of the wonders that you mentioned. We'll take a look at what he chooses to do later. But foreign logging coming in from H2O, and doesn't yet have stage. No, he already has stage. There it is. Okay, you can't, apparently it doesn't show up on the text being researched, but Stagecoach coming in as well, and the consulate now going down. So here H2O really...
Yeah, he's going very, very greedy, and we see Mongo also going greedy. He aged up with the tower, the porcelain tower, and he's now chopping wood, most likely to get a TP of his own, because he's caught on to the fact that H2O is getting TPs and that he's not being aggressive because there are no sea poison in his face yet. So.
Yep. So he knows
That's usually a dead giveaway.
Yeah, and we can see the Explorer there, poised to build the trading post, now doing that, getting this first one down. Perhaps he'll go for a second one, still gathering wood there. Maybe we'll see what he chooses to do. 700 wood does arrive, and with that, I will imagine lay down more villages, and of course the infrastructure, the War Academy, the things he needs to train units once he is up to the next stage. 600 wood does arrive from H2O here, and I imagine with that, by the looks of it, he's also intending to go up to the Fortress Age, still gathering the resources for that. Now, burning his alliance with the Ottoman. He's only just allied with them.
Yeah, he just got them for the 4 villagers, and then he's burning the alliance to get the brick consulate, I imagine. And we see from the 700 wood, China is always building the same things. They build a village, 200 wood. They build a War Academy, 200. They build a consulate, 200 wood, and then they have 100 left for the market.
Yep, 700 wood, really valuable shipment to get all of that infrastructure down. Now getting some market upgrades as well by the looks of it, and of course adding in his second post. I imagine he'll also get the stagecoach upgrade, and then that'll be a really nice investment early on. So of course you can get that wood rolling in with the extra upgrade there, but. We'll have to see what's going on. I'm still very curious about what H2O has in mind. We do see Caravanserai, the Indian stable, going down. I can still not say that. That's a lot of villages on the Wonder as well. So
8 vills. He wants to go up as fast as possible because he knows China will age is already aged, and so he has to.
He needs to catch up. So this is effectively like a fast age. Equivalent, you know, they don't have a fast age up politician. Obviously, they build wonders instead. So this is effectively what he's trying to do. He's trying to compensate for the fact that he spent so long early on and slamming down quite a number of houses by the looks of it.
Yep, he will need those houses for sure. And Mongo now getting his consulate and his War Academy. We see that Mongo reacted to H2O's greed with a greed of his own by getting the TP stagecoach before he made military units or facilities.
Yeah, so
which I think is might not be the best way to react to what H2O is doing, but fair enough.
Yeah, it's certainly one way, though. I mean, you still want to play as safe as possible in a tournament game. You don't want to go out of your comfort zone too much, you know, because that's, you know, those nerves can hit you. And really, this is the safer thing to do, I think, investing in a trading post economy. And it's valuable. You see your opponent doing that, and that's the interaction so far. Like they whilst not a lot has been happening in across the map in their own bases, they are responding to each other. Obviously, Mongo going to be building in the trading post because he saw his opponent do that.
Ryan has been scouting actively, but Mongo hasn't really been scouting.
So he's not sure what's coming, you're saying. Imperial bureaucracy going down. So here, just investing in the safe, obviously, economic upgrades. Elephants coming across the map. I think he just noticed the musketeers and the crossbows there. Doesn't want to get too close and then take some damage. That'd be no good. But 2 Howder coming out as the India first Fortress Age shipment. Okay, so what do you make of this?
Take a look at H2O's deck, you'll see that it's very elephant focused, even though he has before always said that elephants are really terrible.
And training some as well. Okay, 4+2 Howder. That's okay. That's I don't think he did this once earlier against I believe in his earlier round against I think Lion's Den or something like that against a player who perhaps he didn't have to worry about too much because the skill gap was enormous. But here, doing something similar to that game. He has done this before once, but I thought it was more of a troll build, and he was just doing it because it was, you know, fun, and he could do it that early stage in the tournament. But here,
that time it was a troll build indeed, because he did it.
It's come a long way if it's not anymore. Okay, this is going to be, look, Howder absolutely insane against what is here. 72 ranged attack. Against these units, yeah, and and that's what really makes China strong, right? Like the number of cav they can get. I feel like this is going to be really strong because of, you know, China's sort of lack of ability to counter this.
He has no unit to deal with this. He needs skirmish because every other unit is being outranged by the Howders.
It's just the arquebusier, yeah, but you know, that aside from that 8 shipment, how do you get those efficiently to deal with this? Look, he's just kiting back. Look, oh, 1 unit goes down. Can he get the second Changdeo? Takes 2 more off. Just kiting back here, and like all 6 Howder still alive. None have died yet, and just taking so many units out.
Barely taking damage.
Yeah.
And they killed like 9 musketeers.
So this is Mongo's power play. I see surgeons being researched as well. He's gonna be.
Heal the Howders.
Yeah. Okay, he's gonna pull the Howder off. He's got a few weak ones now. He can do that. But now having to get back, of course, Mongo10 does have that slight power spike with the 10 Arquebusier air shipment and has managed to mass a few from, of course, the armies he's been training.
Yeah,
but aside from that, this is as big as his Arquebusier mass is going to get relative to the sort of amounts of other units that he has. You know, you only have that 10 Arquebusier shipment, and that's really the effective unit here. But that trade was so good for
switch
H2O.
Coming in from H2O, he just switched his units off coin and onto wood, so that indicates that he will most likely make Mahouts.
So going full elephant here, even more Howder coming out.
He just made Howder, and he knows that the only answer that Mongo has to
Yurumi as well.
is
Oh my
making
goodness.
skirmishers. So he switches to Mahouts to deal with the skirms, right?
Yeah.
And we also see an Urumi shipment coming.
That's. I'm not sure what to make of this. I'm not sure how I feel about this, except surgeons are sort of healing these up. How long does it take, do you think, for a surgeon to heal one of these to full? It's going up pretty quick.
A minute and a half, I think.
Yeah, but so it just gained like 40 hit points in about 5 seconds, so it does feel like... And
really
given
fast.
how much these things cost, it's, what is this, 3, 4, 5, 700 resources?
Yeah.
3, 4...
I think Maito did the math. It's like 500 resources a minute that they heal.
So he basically has 2 factories out.
Well, yeah, you you have the APM to save your units, then yeah.
Yeah, if you can do that, and that's, you know, I think he's getting ready. Yeah, we do see we see the British redcoats arriving now off the back of the export he's been stacking, and with that, I think it signals go time, especially since the elephants are all now healed up as well, and the 4 Mahouts. I think that's the more important thing. They have arrived as well. Looks like it is time to go, and this is truly unprecedented. I've never seen. This could be something completely new. I wonder how well it's going to do against China. I have a feeling very well now we see Yurumi and Mahouts against the skirmish that comes out.
It has everything, right? The Urumi will just shred through the Chengdaos, while the disciplined Mahouts just deal damage to everything, and the Howdahs just try to pick off the few cabs and musketeers.
He's going in. He's got the Howdah in a good spot. Sorry, the Mahouts in a good spot on the elephant combat coming in. That cuts. Okay. He's got a good, nicely surrounded on the Arquebusier, and they've managed to kite back enough now and get out of range, but all the Changdao, they're going to be gone pretty soon against these Howdah, and then really there'll be nothing left. He just like, problem with this is that he has to focus one unit, and if he focuses one unit, in this case he did focus the Mahouts, everything that's left, the Urumi and the Howdahs will just shred everything else. So that's really the problem. You have to focus on one unit, but actually you can. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he hasn't actually lost a single Howdah yet. He's lost Mahouts, but not a single Howdah.
Four Mahouts, and he lost some Urumi.
The score out. GG. Mongo is out. A 15.
I think the brilliance of this strat here is just that you know that China is really going to be passive, and he just exploits that because he knows that the meta expects India to be aggressive, but he just shows here that India can play the tech game as well. And it was perfectly timed because elephant combat came in just as the fight started. Just like the moment the first Mahout entered contact with the Chinese army, elephant combat came in.
Yeah.
And that gains like 200 hit points on the Mahout.
And this is a build that I have not ever seen before done, and H2O executes it with just like so much finesse, and it just looks absolutely beautiful, as you mentioned, with the elephant combat coming in just at the last moment when it needed to be there. And
he has been practicing it a lot.
Clearly, I imagine this was what most of his practice games. He's been playing so many practice games recently, taking this very seriously, and clearly innovating new ways to be. He's thought about the matchups clearly, and this looks like one he was very happy to take. So game number 1.
If you look at the military graph as well, you can see that India's ahead in every possible way. He has 40 more unit pop during the fight. And that doesn't even take account the upgrades, right? Because he has upgraded elephants, and Mongo's units aren't upgraded.
All right,
and if you look at the resource gathered as well, he has more resources. If you look at shipments, he has more shipments. And that's India, right? He has 2 more shipments as India, while India is supposed to have an XP deficit.
Yeah. I guess it's all those trading posts early on, and obviously the kill XP
And the cows,
and the cows. Yeah, that's absolutely huge. But yeah, game number 1 being picked up to H2O with his brand new, perhaps meta-defining India strategy. Now that he's done it once, perhaps we're going to see this as something that will be good against China, because clearly, absolutely no problems, and very nice to see, very well executed. That is game number 1. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, to be honest, that this will be a meta-defining build. I have trouble. I don't really see what China can do against this yet, because I've tried. If you play the eco game, you can't win. So you have to play the aggressive game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is about to be game number 2 in a best-of-7 series between Mongo10 and H2O for the semi-finals of this event. We just saw H2O pick up the first game with India versus China. Both of those civilizations are now disabled for the players. And since H2O did win the previous game, as Mongo10 rightly says, you pick. H2O now has to pick his civilization first as a result of him winning the previous game. And then after H2O picks his civs and locks in, Mongo10 will be able to pick his civ afterwards. So that does offer him the advantage. He'll be able to engineer himself perhaps a matchup that he is happier with and that he would prefer to play. So effectively, advantage to Mongo10. H2O, though, going into the next map. Do you know what that will be, Umeu?
Yeah, it's Bengal.
Alright, Bengal coming up. And there's a few things to consider here. He needs to pick a civ that will do well on Bengal, but also a civ that has no glaringly bad matchups. So, you know, he can't just click in as Japan or something like that. He has to pick a civ that's going to do reasonably well against pretty much any other civ that Mongo could pick. But also, it has to be appropriate for the map.
Yeah,
So,
I expect either Brits or Dutch or maybe Russia from H2O, I think.
Okay, so H2O going for... pick an Aztec as his civilization of choice, and Mongo10 going to be going for British as his counter pick, so to speak. I would like to point out that after this match, regardless of the winner, the advantage will swap back to H2O. He will be the one that gets to pick his civ second, and Mongo will have to pick first, and then they'll alternate for the remainder of the series. So, we are about to get into game number 2. What do you think of this matchup? British versus Aztecs. I always feel that when I play this that I just really dislike Aztec. They age so quickly and the rush comes and it's just such a pain to deal with. But I think, you know, players, when they get certainly very good at managing the villages, making sure they get in the town center, that becomes far less of a problem, and sort of, you know, being able to anticipate when the rush is coming and all of these things.
I think it's actually a good matchup. Pretty fair. I think usually it's a little bit British favored, but with the new FI builds that Diaruga and Bonang have been promoting lately with the bug abuse, it might actually be Aztec favored.
Bug abuse?
Although I'm not sure if H2O will play that style.
Alright, well, what do you mean bug abuse?
There's the Aztec Explorer is bugged in 2 ways. The first way is that if you put it in cover mode, it will revive in cover mode, but move at normal speed. And the second one is a fire pit bug.
Which I don't think... I think surely that's been fixed on ESOC patch.
No, it hasn't. It's only been recently discovered, and I don't
is it allowed in the tournament? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, because it only was discovered while the tournament was already going on, so there's no rule against it.
Oh, I see. Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so perhaps will be changed for the next tournament, but currently Aztec has a few tricks up their sleeve that are permitted. I'm interested to see that. It's always fun. Certainly will most likely be fixed at another time, but we do see H2O picking up a Rhino. That is one hell of a creature to pick up early on. 300 hit points worth of stuff. That's basically 2 Musketeers worth of HP there, which is going to be incredibly useful for treasure collecting, and certainly that first fight as well. Just going to be really, really valuable. That is true, absolutely. Can be crack-shotted, but even if it's crack-shotted, right, you're using up your opponent's sort of resources to do that. They don't get to do as much treasure collecting, but here going to be very valuable for this 90 Woods treasure that Mongo not going to be able to pick up. I don't think he's seen that either, so he's not going to be able to rush on.
He walked past it, but I'm not sure why he didn't pick it. I think he was afraid that Ryan would be near and would steal it, but now he's
Now
actually
it's too
going
late,
back to
perhaps.
steal it
Yeah, he
himself.
wants to get there, but I don't know if he's going to necessarily make that in time.
No, but he might actually kill the Explorer.
Yeah,
Ryan
that's
was
true.
Very,
Can he
he's gonna
take down
die.
the Explorer and pick up the
Yeah, he's
treasure?
gonna die.
He just needs one more hit. Not quite.
he's
H2O just getting that in. Oh my goodness, that was so close. I didn't actually realize until the Explorer came in that actually the Rhino was not tanking the damage. I thought all that time that's clearly what H2O wanted, but by some mistake he made there, by the looks of it.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. I'm not sure if he wanted it. I think he just underestimated the damage that he would take from the Tigers, because he had the Rhino present and he clearly attacked first with his hero. So. Yeah,
So
I think he just underestimated the damage that he would take.
I feel like it could possibly just be a mistake as well. He's now using the Rhino to scout around and try and pick up the remaining water buffalo that are available on this map, and that's also what Mongo's doing. Looks like he's trying to head off that Rhino. He's sort of heading in that direction. Does go back for the 20 coin treasure, wants to pick that up, but yeah, now it's just a race to see who can get the yaks. Fortunately for H2O though, he does manage to pick himself up that 90 wood treasure, so he's not going to be too upset, but that's a lot of hit points to lose. You know, that guy has so many hit points, and as you mentioned, he has that put him into cover mode.
I think he's pretty upset about it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, of course, but you know, in cover mode, that guy is really, really valuable. He takes half damage effectively, which is what cover mode is, you know, what it does. But now he has very, very few hit points on it, so there's that, and yeah.
I think he's more upset about the fact that he can't scout right now really well, and that he can't pick up any of the X, and yeah, you're right, that he won't have as much hit points on it later. But he also gave Mongo 100 XP, right? So
yeah, that's also
big.
Really big for Mongo. So Mongo going to be pretty pleased about that. It's just so big to lose it. Now coming back to pick him up, he does have 100 HP, and that's when he starts to stand back up again, which is actually probably not enough HP. No, certainly not enough to fight the Explorer anyway. There is that. But both players now heading up to the next age. Here we do have Mongo10 playing as the British on the right-hand side of the map. Now that he is going up, he is, by the looks of it, aging with the Governor, which will give him the tower and 200 gold. And during transition, he now has all of the villagers on wood. Looking to get the wood for manor houses. We can see one going down there, and also the wood for steel traps and things like that. I would imagine a barracks as well, perhaps. British does have to gather all of that during transition, and you know that's something he's going to have to do there clearly. But also H2O, what does he have in mind? A forward war hut is going down. Did go up with the age up fast option, and by the looks of it, he's going to be starting, I imagine, with coyotes by the looks of things.
Yeah, I would expect coyotes. Otherwise, he would be on point.
Yeah,
and would have picked up 100 points.
Yep. So forward Warhawk coming out, looking to be aggressive here, Umeu. What do you make of this?
I think he will go for a contain. He will harass with coyotes and try to contain Mongo and make him starve out of rest later on. I don't think that he will go all in aggressive. It's not really his style, but it's definitely an option.
Yeah, I think I think you're absolutely right. H2O always never going to take the risky options. Like it's going to play a game where macro over the long period is going to benefit him, and that's the style he prefers. That's the safest style that he's good at. Doesn't want to be super aggressive here. Isco, however, going to be taking on the Explorer. They're forcing him back. Going to get a nice few hits on that. Probably won't pursue any further now that he's reached the outpost. 2 coyotes do come out though. And do you think that
might be a little bit of a macro mistake then?
Yeah, perhaps. Probably wanted a few more than that.
He does seem a little bit unfocused this game. He's made a few mistakes that I don't think are typical of him. But he's also sending 5 vills, so as I said, he's going for the eco contain.
Yeah.
Although we do see like a stable from Mongo and 4 cav coming out. And there's only 4 coyotes from H2O at the moment. So if Mongo will raid, but he will most likely not do it because he's afraid of Aztec pressure. But he could raid here and do some damage to H2O because I don't think he has anything to defend it right now.
Yeah, we'll see what the cavalry do. By the looks of it, going to wait there. They're not too interested in heading out. H2O, though, is going to pick up 100 food. But yeah, just to mention those mistakes, perhaps you know you were talking about like the Aztec explorer taking too much damage against that treasure, perhaps missing a batch there. I wasn't sure if he or maybe he didn't have a house up, or maybe he did just intend to get two, something like that. I doubt it though. But yeah, maybe feeling a bit frustrated. As you know, losing that explorer and just having a knock-on effect to the rest of the game. We'll see how this goes. H2O in very good shape currently, but perhaps this game not quite on top form. But another batch of coyotes does arrive, and it looks like H2O is now able to start spending down those resources. We'll have to see what he wants to do with the coyotes here. Looks like he's going to head around the back and maybe sneak in around the side and try and kill some villagers if he can find any. Mongo, though, doesn't have any sort of in that direct area yet, so it doesn't look like he's going to be too successful as the coyotes come in, but a less obvious angle, probably the better one to approach from.
Yeah, for sure. But at the moment, it doesn't look like he will get anything done. Mongo has been very confined to his base. I would have liked it if he had built like a house over there just for some extra line of sight. He hasn't done that yet. He might do that still later on.
Yeah, doesn't
but
find
he still has a few safe hunts, and he has berries as well. So
ooh, the two coyotes and his explorer are a bit out of position here, away from the other two coyotes getting picked up for free. Effectively, does manage to get the explorer out, and that is important because, of course, the double XP that thing does offer when units kill something within its vicinity. So there is that. But
and he did kill the British.
Here we go, Britain coming out now, Umeu. 6 musketeers have arrived, and that's Sigel's go time, plus a batch of 5 as well. He's going to push the war hut here, and with just an army of coyotes, I don't think he's necessarily going to be able to defend against this, unless he has a shipment about to arrive imminently, and I think that might be the case. He might have a shipment about ready. It needs to be something like 9 Mace Halton or whatever it is. It needs to arrive, and I think he has that coming.
He has to call the big button.
Oh, the big button.
I'm not sure if he can defend this actually, because there's
he's going in for it.
Musketeers.
Yeah, Musketeers really quite strong again. He's pulling some back. He's gonna force some of the Musketeers to sort of follow him around.
Coyote coming out, and it doesn't seem like there's anything coming. There's the 10 mace.
There's the 10 mace shipment. These is what he needed. He needed that a bit sooner, though. I think he could have waited perhaps a little bit longer, but maybe not. Maybe he was worried that the war hut would go down. So big button does arrive. Okay, so Mace Halton, though, do have cavalry on them. That's not too good. That Jaguar Prowlers, both of them now dead. Not going to be able to deal with the cavalry adequately. And I think here, Mongo10 does clean up the H2O army.
Yep, he does have enough units here, and I think
all the timing's just slightly a bit off, but I think H2 are being forced to go a bit earlier than he would have liked, a bit afraid of losing that war hut if Blue did continue to siege it. But Pumas do arrive as well on top of the cavalry, but Mongo, reacting very quickly, is able to force them off.
He doesn't have anything, no infantry left. He just has 1 musketeer left.
He does have 5 approaching though, but here, now he's probably going to turn around and engage with the Hussar. Wants to keep the Pumas nearby. They do take extra damage, obviously, from them, but the Musketeers backing this up. He needs to keep these in place, snare them there. Does clean up the 6 Puma shipment. 5 more are trained and do arrive, but that war hut is toast. And now H2O down in score, and Mongo10, I think, in a very good position here. Mongo could well take this game from here. He's in a very good spot to do so.
Position. He's now pushing the place where
second war hut.
Trying to get a blockhouse up, but it won't go up most likely. And it's also the place where all his vills are hunting.
Yeah, and even if it does go up, he's going to lose a few villages here. Pumas do come in, force the cav back a bit, but do take a volley from the longbowmen and the musks. They don't want that at all. I did notice one of them, the one being targeted, go into cover move. But GG coming out. Mongo10 does take the second game in this series versus H2O. The score is now 1-1. My apologies for not updating that sooner. But what do you think happened here? H2O, just a few mistakes rolling into the game for Mongo, or do you think he got frustrated and something not so good happened in his mind? What's going on here? What do you think?
I think he didn't really expect this matchup. He didn't really prepare for it or anything, I think, and he went way too greedy. He went 5 vills, and then he sent another card, maybe 600 wood, and then he sent 3 warrior priests. So he had like his mace were too late. If he had 10 mace present and 9 mace came during the fight, he would have held that. But now he just had like 1 unit shipment too short.
I do wonder if he could have waited a bit longer. Obviously, it looked like he would have benefited from that if he waited for the Mace Halton to arrive and timed it with the big button and all of these things. But that war hut was under siege.
His warhead would have gone down.
Exactly, which is why I wonder if he could have done it. And by the sounds of both what you and I think, perhaps not. Just had to take it a bit sooner, buy time for it to keep it up.
Maybe it could have worked, but it would have been very risky. So I understood his decision to go in when he did, but basically he already made the mistake before the fight happened to not have enough. And Mongo doing a very good timing with the 6 musketeer pop and just with the hussars and he did do it blindly though, because he didn't know what Ryan was having build up. But it worked out in the end.
It worked out nicely, and you can see he did take a very, very convincing fight here. Goes from about even military unit population, managed to pick off those 2 coyotes just before the fight. I think that was really valuable for him. And then you can see the combat here on this graph went very, very well for the British player. So I think this graph, a nice story of how the game went. Mongo10 up in resources as well. But that does conclude game number 2. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be right back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere with game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to what will be game number 3 in this best of 7 series between H2O and Mongo10. My co-caster Umeu has just gone to get some water, and by the sounds of it, he has returned. That was pretty quick. The next map will be Mendocino, and I would like to point out that now that first game, where their civilizations were India and China, those are disabled. They cannot pick them now, and clearly they haven't. And in that previous game we just saw Aztecs versus British, where H2O lost. Those 2 civs are disabled as well. H2O now gets to pick second. So Mongo10 just clicks in as Russia on Mendocino, and in response we do see the Portuguese selection coming out from H2O. We'll have to see how this goes for him. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are now clicking in to this game number 3. The score is 1-1, and I think this is setting up for a very, very interesting game, to say the least. As I mentioned earlier, both players currently number 1 and 2 on the ELO ladder. And both players have been practicing quite a lot for this series. Both of them in it to win it, so to speak. But let's start with Mongo10 in the north of the map. In the colour red,
by the way,
he will of course be playing as Russia. And there is certainly that, playing as Russia. Spawning with just the 1 wood crate there, but Russia, always unlikely to really care too much. Certainly more wood is better, but the best thing for wood is, of course, the early market. Russia, unlikely to be doing that. Certainly could, we'll have to see what he has in mind, but yeah, not going to be too upset. That does mean Portugal only will get 100 wood as well, and that does disable the trading post start. So I think Russia probably okay with starting with 100 wood here. Is going to be picking up his 50 coin treasure, and then move on to scout the rest of the map. There isn't quite as much hurry here to get out on the map, since there are no livestock to be found. But certainly still valuable treasures. 50 coin is worth picking up quite early on, obviously. That's a really nice one. But does come across the CDB Umeu. I think Mongo10 is going to be very interested in taking that one.
Yeah, most likely. I do have to disagree on what you say, though. Diaruga just posted a scouting topic, and one of the mistakes that he highlighted is that people go for the small treasures in their base before scouting bigger treasures.
Yeah.
And I think he's right there. I would probably prefer to pick up like a coin treasure like that with a villager as I send it to the herd.
Yeah.
Instead of using my explorer to pick that up. It just means that you're maybe a little bit faster at the treasures that really matter.
Yeah, and maybe you can steal something from somebody if you do come across them picking up a nice big juicy one. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think Diaroga right to point that out on the forums there. You know, those are they are small treasures, and they don't have guardians, so it's not like you need your explorer to pick those up. And especially on live top maps, probably very important to get out onto the map and start finding them. But yes, H2O is coming in for a treasure steal. Mongo10 very invested in this. He has been fighting the bears, has invested quite a lot of HP. The crack shot dupe coming in. He goes to shoot it, but then pulls out at the last moment to make Mongo think he was going for it. Does take the final shot, picks up the 10 XP, and does take the CDB.
This is what I said, right? If Mongo had not picked up that treasure, he may have been fast enough to the CDB treasure to pick it up.
It certainly would have helped. I'm not necessarily sure how much extra time that was. I mean, if he'd not gone for that treasure and then gone, or if he'd taken a scouting pattern straight towards it, then perhaps. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely true, and it is a very interesting point to pick up on. So something to think about perhaps for future games if you are playing. But I think the important thing is here, sadly for Mongo10, who may or may not have been able to get that if he'd gone for it sooner, had not gone for the muskrat treasure. H2O picks up a CDB, and that is denied from Mongo. He's not going to be too happy. That's a really, really nice pickup for H2O there. But I think we can say H2O decisively winning age 1. It's always nice to sort of think about the discovery age like that, and who can pick up the advantage.
We've seen him doing that every game so far. He has been practically, except maybe last game because his Explorer died, but he's been scouting better than Mongo. And Mongo has been having a little bit of a sloppy scouting pattern. Even last game when he had his Explorer that could pick up every yak on the map, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And here again,
H2O, where are you going? He's got the Trading Post Foundation. That's the second time he's done that this game. I did see him earlier go for an 80 food treasure, or 70 food, whatever it was, and walked away from the treasure before picking it up, and here doing something similar, not starting to build the Trading Post immediately. But yeah, I think that's... But ultimately not making too much difference. Does get both of those things, and by the looks of it, that little bit of extra time isn't going to result in losing a pass on the trade travel. Actually, no, I don't think it will. But either way, we do see H2O now up to the next stage, or he has clicked up and has all of his villagers on wood during transition. By the looks of it, is getting himself the trading post. And then moving on...
Mongo getting a TP2 instead of a blockhouse.
Okay, so he's playing more defensively here, and perhaps that's the thing to do against Portugal. It's going to be hard to push into a player with 2 town centres, but yeah, does lose out on... I can see here when H2O's Explorer walked up to this trading post, he lost out. It sounded the building destruction noise, which tells me the foundation was removed because, Red had already taken that one. So clearly wants to go for all these trading posts and does have a CDB down on the south one, the one he picked up by the looks of it, minimizing the villager walking time by using that. But clearly going for all the trading posts, has sent advanced trading post as his first shipment, and because of that, and as a result of that, we'll have cheaper trading posts as well as a ranged attack on them. His town centre is now going down, and I do like this position. Lots of hunt and covers part of this trade route as well.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I would have maybe put it a little bit more forward to protect the TP as well, but I get his reluctance because he doesn't... Well, he should have known that Mongo had a TP up, so he could have put it a bit more forward because there would not be an aggressive blockhouse.
Yeah.
So, otherwise than that, it's fine.
Equally, though, it's still in range of this particular trading post, and it's also very close to these hunts as well. So I don't think... clearly, it's still in a good position. It's not like it's randomly on the map somewhere, but there are certainly small points to pick up on as well. But 700 gold is H2O's first colonial age shipment. That is coming down by the looks of it, and does have a stable as well. Let's take a look at the units in queue and see, well, clearly going to be going for cavalry. Or not.
Yeah, he'll probably do a 5 MEFF. And I'm not sure what Mongo is doing. He does ship 5 Cossack first, but he does make a defensive blockhouse, so I'm not entirely sure what his build order is, because I don't think he will get anything done with these Cossacks. And if he wants to defend cav rates, he might just as well get 10 musketeers and use the shipment for something else. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, either way, it's a very strong shipment. 750 resources, I think I quote that a lot. It's a very, very powerful shipment, and goes to show this sort of TC placement nearer to the hunts is going to be valuable. Perhaps H2O was anticipating something like this from Mongo. He's probably done his homework and been looking, but currently Mongo10's cavalry not really achieving very much at all, and it comes back to, when do you want to send a unit shipment? And the answer is if you're going to immediately use those units and utilize, the shipment you just sent, or if you're going to be defending. And here doing neither, but does continue to send cavalry. 4 Cossacks coming out as well, and does have a batch of musketeers has been trained, and also another batch in queue as well. So clearly gearing up for a push here. What do you make of this? This is, given the trading post start, is this like a timing that's going to work well against the town centre, or do you think H2O is going to be able to defend this, reasonably well, not too many problems? But here it comes, 9 Cossacks.
Really without problems. He already added a stable, and he just caught the 5 Cossacks.
Yeah, and you can see that one cav coming forward. He's going to try and get the snare on that group. That doesn't manage to do it, but you can see being very diligent and trying to pick up all the small things. This is where his strength mechanically comes into play. If he'd managed to snare that and those musks weren't on the way, then could have gotten perhaps a few more. Didn't manage to snare it in time though, or at all actually, and then the musks scared him away as well. But he's seen those Cossacks now, and he's probably realised that he has started with certainly 5 Cossacks, and maybe he's even started a stable. H2O might even think that. Clearly he hasn't, but yeah, H2O is probably going to feel quite happy about this. You know, his opponent not sending any economic shipments at all, whilst he sits back with his advanced trading post economy. He's going to get Stagecoach, already has done that on this particular route here, and you know, has his 2 town centers working away for him.
And he's going for the build order that he also does with Spain, which I actually would have expected him to pick on this map. I would have thought that he would go Spain against Russia, but decides to go Portugal. But he goes Hussars, semi-FF with like 10 bows.
Yeah. Here we have a fight. Looks like H2O almost didn't know, but like he pulled out the last moment, did Mongo. He's waiting for his musketeers to get in range. He's, by the looks of it, trying to force H2O away. He's not actually looking for a fight at all. He just wants to get really close to his opponent and kind of shoot him, and then, you know, your initial reaction to that is to move all your units away real quick, and this trading post perhaps will stay alive a little bit longer, but that's not the case. H2O gonna continue sieging that and not fall for any trickery. In response, Mongo, knowing that he's not going to be able to force H2O off, does get back and goes to siege down.
8 bow shipment from H2O coming out.
So H2O looking to push now.
Looks like he wants to take this fight, and it will actually go good for him, I think.
Yeah, these are Russian musketeers, we do have to remember. Is going to pull back a bit there. I love that, how he goes into fight and then pulls away straight away as all the musketeers switch to melee mode. And they're all now taking damage from the crossbowmen and not doing any range damage, so really, really nice there. They've got more reinforcing bows as well coming in. Of course, that's also why he was heading back to try and get these in. And again, these cavalry here moving around, forcing these musketeers to sort of follow them, not doing any damage there, whilst the remainder, the big batch of cavalry, finishes off these Cossacks, and these crossbow mass are able to focus down the muskets here. This was a really, really nice fight for H2O.
It was, for sure. He may be engaged a little bit too early.
Mongo does resign. That was not close, sorry, a extremely fast victory there coming out from H2O.
Yeah, for sure. He engaged maybe a little bit too early, but I understood why he did it, because Mongo was retreating to his base, so H2O wanted to force the fight, because as you said, when you ship units, you want to use them, and he just shipped 8 bows, so he wanted to force the fight right there and then, and not give Mongo the time to camp in his base.
Yeah. And, you know, not be near town centre fire, and also the ability to pop Minutemen, and also have access to quick reinforcing units. So H2O, really, really nice there. And clearly from the messages Mongo10 put out, he's not too happy with the CDB treasure that happened a bit earlier, but perhaps we should point out to him that he did go for the muskrat treasure. I think that would piss him off a bit more than he already is, though. Clearly not too happy with that outcome, and I wonder if when he saw that CDB it influenced his decision making, because starting 5 Cossack and then followed up certainly by 4 Cossacks, unless you have a very good reason and, you know, a very good useful thing to do with them, not particularly advisable. Clearly did not work out for Mongo10, and H2O does pick up this next game. The score is now 2-1 in favor of Mongo.
Actually, this game kind of played out like the previous one. We see the less aggressive Civ going for a timing push and kind of punishing the supposedly more aggressive Civ that's being caught off guard, kind of.
Yeah, and you can see that fight on the graph. Really, really nicely done there. I wonder, you know, I also think Mongo could have done a better job of switching his units back into ranged combat, back onto the volley mode. Those musketeers were walking around quite a lot, which was a shame for him, but certainly hand attack very strong against the cavalry, and that was clearly what he was trying to get the damage on. And, you know, valuable. There is value in doing that, obviously, but the volley mode is also good too.
I think it was a mistake, to be honest, to put them in melee mode, at least that many, because you have the Cossack there to kind of block the Hussars off, and then you want to have your musketeers shoot, and then move in closer while they're shooting, so that they don't go that they go into melee mode automatically because they're so close to the Hussars. That's what you want to achieve.
Yep, but a nice H2O, nice timing nice timing to come out of his base with the Expos. Takes the fight in this location here, away from the town centre and the military buildings, and does pick himself up game number 3 in this series. The score is now 2-1 to H2O. We are now going to head out, and we'll be beginning game number 4 shortly. So, this is now advantage to his opponent, H2O's opponent. That will be Mongo10. Mongo does now get to pick his civilization afterwards. So H2O is going to pick his civ first, and then after that, many Mongo, lots of Mongo10 fan clubs and Ryan Mankell fan clubs. Ryan Mankell, of course, being H2O. But we're about to get into the next game. Umeu, what do you think? So what is our next map, firstly? And also, this is a big moment for Diaroga. This is a big moment for Mongo10. He gets that advantage back in his favor, right?
The next map will be Baja California. The civs are reset, so H2O has to pick first, and he might actually pick ports again.
Oh, so the reset has happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was isn't that next game?
No, it's this game. Right? No, next game. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
so
I thought so.
Hasn't happened. Sorry. Oh yeah, so then he might pick Spain here.
Alright, so for those that are not familiar with the format, the civs that they have already played are now disabled. Game number 1, where H2O picked up the victory with India, he can no longer play that. Mongo10 lost with China, he can no longer play that. Game number 2 was Aztecs versus British. They can no longer play those civilizations. H2O cannot play Aztecs, Mongo cannot play British. And now H2O in that previous match cannot play Portuguese, and Mongo10 cannot play Russia. Advantage is in favor of Mongo here, so H2O is going to have to pick his next civilization first, and as Umeu was pointing out, could potentially go for Spain here, and do something similar to what we just saw. That particular build, though, ATP, still very strong with Spain. You don't get the extra tower center, so it is more sort of, I think, timing focused with the bringing out the military shipments and pushing in. But H2O, we'll have to see. Spain is certainly an option that is available here, but we'll see what he chooses. Mongo10 does get to pick afterwards, so this is a big moment for him. He needs to, if he wants to bring the score back up to 2-2, this is an ideal time to do that. We'll see what his civilization pick is. Still waiting. Neither player has made a choice. What do you think, though, Mongo picks, if it is Spain that H2O picks? What do you pick in response to that?
You might see Ottomans coming out of Mongo. We might see him mirror it.
Spain mirror? Potentially.
Yeah. I doubt he will go for a mirror. But,
yeah, I don't think he will. I feel Mongo has, in his tournament life, or tournament lives in previous events, he's he's managed to avoid so many mirrors. Like, he's almost never played any mirrors. I think just one across. So
yeah, China mirror against Life with the Mamelukes.
And I think that's not something he'll be looking to do. Clearly, because he's not done it in the past, but also it's his advantage pick, right? Okay, so Spain does come out from H2O. I feel like Mongo10 isn't wanting, will not be wanting to throw his advantage pick on a mirror matchup. He'll be wanting to choose a civilization that'll do very well against Spain here. And maybe that will be Spain. Maybe he has to go for Spain. You know, quite a few civilizations are disabled now. Ottoman was something you mentioned.
Maybe. Or possibly ports. He doesn't really play water. I would say Ottomans if he or maybe India.
Water is available on this map, certainly to bear in mind. So let's talk about the players a little bit. H2O is, of course, the dictator. Ryan, Kim Mankel, some have called him. No, certainly, you know, one of the sort of people behind ESOC in the very beginning, had a lot of influence there and got it going. Not the founder, but certainly got a lot of things going, and throughout his tournament's lifetime. Okay, so let's start with back in the day, right? Back in 2007, 2008, did compete in that 2007 World Cyber Games and won the 2008 one for, I believe, $10,000. So quite a lot of money back then, and ever since then has.
I already spent it on booze and other things.
Yeah, H2O, very, very strong player. Certainly back in the day, obviously, as I just mentioned, but also has had very strong tournament performances since then as well, and it is currently number 1 on the ELO ladder at the moment. Mongo10 has not had, well, any tournament performances. He's never finished a tournament in a particularly high place before, but maybe this is the first tournament. Maybe this is where he's looking to pick that title up. Did pick up a nice game against H2O earlier, so we'll see. He's still thinking about his civ, so you know he's clearly taking this seriously. He's not just going to click in with any random one. But I think this might be the time for Mongo10 to shine. If it's going to be, it's going to be right now. It's going to be this tournament where he wants to pick up that first accolade under his belt. And clearly a strong player, currently ranked 37. This guy's played several thousand games, as we can see, nearly 4,000 games on TAD, the Asian Dynasties, and is ranked 2 on the ELO, as I mentioned. So Mongo, certainly very, very strong player.
Yeah, for sure. And he's also the kind of player that, like you mentioned, that H2O shines in the mechanical aspect of the game. Mongo doesn't shine there as much.
doesn't have like the best micro or as you can see, scouting patterns and stuff like that. But he's quite a smart player, and he, like the timing push that he did against Aztec shows the kind of player that he is. He has good game sense, and he knows how to get a good smooth build going and exploit mistakes from other players as well.
Yeah.
So he's dangerous in that fashion for sure.
Clearly, very good at real-time strategy for the strategy element of of what it. I think H2O though, his real strength is the real-time part of that game genre, right? So,
but also the strategy part. If you saw
H2O
his game, if he gets some people say he's quite predictable, and it's kind of true. But he's also a smart player that can get up good counter builds.
Yeah, and adapt quite quickly as well. But yeah, those are the two strengths I think we're mentioning, and it's important to be good at both. H2O certainly is good at both, but I think the thing you're pointing out, Mongo, perhaps more of the strategist than the mechanical real-time part of the game, but still thinking by the looks of it. So thinking long and hard about this, and it might be quite tough. As I mentioned, he does have... he's no longer got access to China. That is not a civ that's available. He's no longer got access to British, and he no longer has... Okay, so Japan is going to be coming out against Spain here. This is interesting. Even on RE patch, I always thought this... He's clicking into it as well. He doesn't have to. It's H2O's locked in with Spain. He can't change that. Okay, looks like he wants to go for Spain versus Japan. I'm really interested, Umeu, to see... what happens here. My experience of this matchup is that the timing pressure from Spain off their just, vanilla naked FF is very good against Japan. They struggle with that sort of, their Achilles heel is that timing push, that early pressure as well. And, those two things don't do very well. So Spain here could do really well against Japan. But perhaps things have changed. This is ESOC patch. But I only feel like that makes it worse. Spain's certainly stronger here. What do you think?
Yeah, Spain has been buffed, and Japan has been slightly nerfed, not that much, but I'm kind of surprised that he picked this matchup, and I think H2O is actually going to be quite happy about it, as he's been talking with Mido before, and he said that this was kind of a free win for Spain. I don't exactly agree with him on that, but it's definitely a matchup that I think is favored for Spain at the moment.
I think it's a very strong matchup against Spain. Those two cannons are going to be really, really tough for Mongo to deal with, and they'll come out almost assuredly as H2O's first shipment. He's going to get them at his forward tower at that 8-minute mark, it'll age up at about 7 minutes 30. The cannons will arrive, and he'll have a bunch of pikemen or muskets to defend them with that he'll major in transition.
Will play that way.
Do you not think so?
He favors the ATP build.
Yeah, he does. That's certainly something H2O prefers, but I wonder if he'll go for it anyway, knowing that he's up against Japan. Like, playing slower is perhaps not the thing to do, but maybe it is still the safer thing to do for H2O. He does prefer that sort of more macro-y style, always has done. But what do you think? Is ATP still reasonable against Japan? If it were me playing, I'd stick with the aggressive FF, but I've never really thought about how strong ATP might be against Japan.
I think it can be good, actually. Oh, yeah, Mongo
he's changing it there. Perhaps, this is very different.
Makes more sense to me.
Yeah, he is allowed to change. It's H2O who is locked in here. And he's Mongo advantage to him. So going for the Ottomans here, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what will be game number 4 in this best of 7 series between H2O and Mongo10. This is the final game before the reset.
This is the classic vanilla matchup, by the way.
It is. Oh, you're so right. I remember back in the day, the PK Clan tournaments 3 and 4.
It was Spain and Otto.
It was all about this matchup. I noticed today on my YouTube channel there was some confusion. They were asking why don't anyone play Ottoman? And somebody replied, "Oh, Ottoman's banned." It's not banned. Ottoman is not banned. It's just not that strong, guys. Not on ESOC patch, which is what we are playing on.
It's still quite strong. Yeah.
Also, I think there's this snobbishness where high-level players just like, oh, Otto, you're playing Otto. What an easy civ that requires no skill to play. And there's this kind of this bias against playing against, a civ like Ottoman. Like, H2O will certainly avoid it. He just really hates it. So I think there's that kind of snobbishness going on at the high level. But this is the tournament. Who gives a shit about that? I'm just gonna be honest, right? You're gonna pick the civs that do well, and Ottoman is a strong civ, one that Mongo is comfortable with, and perhaps that extra APM he'll have available to him will be valuable here. When you're perhaps a bit nervous in a tournament. But it looks like we will be pausing just for the moment. Mongo10 asking a question. He forgot to check decks. He would like to rematch. Okay, so I think H2 will probably be okay with this, but I think strictly speaking, he could say no. The game has begun. But H2O, good sport.
A fair thing to do, I suppose.
I think, and it's clearly the more entertaining thing to do.
But yeah, this matchup is really, I like it. I thought already that Mongo
Are you excited? I'm excited for this. Go ahead.
And this is a matchup that I've played so many times, and I practiced a lot on Nilla. And I think actually on the repatch right now, the matchup has returned to kind of the Nilla state, where it's pretty much the same as on Nilla.
Oh, okay. All right. So slightly Spain favored. I remember long ago, Umeu. I don't know. Maybe you'd like to sort of rethink what you told me all that time ago. But back in the day when I was playing super actively on vanilla with you and Azank and all of the other Nilla lads, Musket Junior, shout out to that guy. You told me, okay, Spain, Interjection. Spain is the civ. It's probably the strongest civ on vanilla, but it's quite hard to play optimally. If you want to go Ottoman versus Spain. Spain is the strongest civ, but requires you to be much better at the game, whereas Ottoman, you don't have to be quite so good, you can get away with a lot more, it's a lot easier to play perhaps, but is a bit worse. So you're saying, unless you're going to change your mind from something you said several years ago, which is okay, you can do that, that Spain is perhaps slightly favoured here?
Yeah, I think so, because most likely Ottomans will try to gen rush him, or they also have the option to go for the FF, and in both cases, Spain kind of plays the same. They just have to scout. And if Ottoman goes for the FF, then Spain can put the tower forward. Otherwise, it has to be base.
Yeah. Do you want to click in, buddy? All right, here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what will be game number 4, attempt number 2 by the looks of it, in this best of 7 series between H2O and Mongo10 for the, of course, semi-finals of this event, the Winter Tournament. My name is Interjection. I'll be casting alongside Umeu. Let's start with Mongo10. He's picked Ottoman into Spain, by the looks of things here. Has 2 options, by the sounds of what Umeu is saying. The Fast Fortress or the Colonial Age Agenda. We'll see what he opts to do. One thing is certain, though. This Explorer will go straight towards the south or the north trading post. He's looking to get that straight away. And I wonder if H2O is going to be... Well, I know H2O clearly going to be thinking about that. Very strong player. But do you think he'll take the gamble? Do you think he'll rush his War Dog or his Explorer up to one of those trading posts and start looking for the Ottoman? That's the thing to do, right? If you know he's going to be out on the map building one. Yeah. But this map is not like New England or Great Plains. It's less predictable where they will be, and there's quite a lot of space in between the south and the north. It's really, and by the looks of it, H2O heading for the south TP and Ottoman going for the north one, so we're not going to see that interaction, but that is clearly the thing to point out in this very, very early portion of the game. But here we do have Mongo10 spawning on the right-hand side of the map as the Ottomans has collected up all his crates, but the coin crate will of course be going for the trading post with 200 of that wood and a house with the other 200 of that wood. H2O, by the looks of it, is not going to be heading straight to the very bottom here. He does come across a 120 XP treasure and will be picking that up, of course, with ease with his Explorer Dog. And of course,
doing something that I don't like.
What do you see?
He picked up a 40 XP treasure. I think now it won't actually matter. It's okay. But usually it's quite risky to pick up a treasure before you build the TP.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that pass. That's true. But equally, right, XP is perhaps more valuable than normal before you get your very, very first shipment. As you can see, H2O already has his 3 vills along the way due to that 120 XP, and has almost half a shipment as well. I wonder if that 40 XP he went for was just to get that 3 villages rolling in a little bit quicker. Didn't matter. It's actually did the right thing there, but could have missed the trading post, and that's what you're saying. It's, you definitely don't want to miss that pass. Doesn't look like that is going to be the case at all. But H2O has now identified, by the looks of it, which trading post he's got. He's heading in this direction. No, he's heading down a bit as well. Okay, so he's not going to be going for that.
Wood, I think.
Yeah, but both players in the area, and Red has seen it. He's going for it now. H2O very nearby. Yeah, he spots it. He's probably. Do you think he'll crack shot it, or is he just going to wait here?
Sure. He's going to crack shot it. If he's smart, he shoots it right now, and he will do that.
Yep. Yeah, I was wondering, is there an argument perhaps for H2O to leave the bear and let it take out Mongo for a bit and, you know, lose some HP and then come in with the War Dog as Explorer at the last moment and finish him off there? Is now investing quite a lot of HP into these Cougars. By the looks of it, wanted that full HP one to sort of run back. It didn't do that. He's still trying to get it to happen. Quite a lot of HP invested. Did not manage to get the kite, well, the sort of the treasure, whatever it is, collecting done. So I forget what the word is.
Getting 150 coin treasure as well.
Oh, baby.
Really racking up that H1 treasure, and that's basically the advantage Spain has in this matchup, right? Because Otto has to make the TP and Spain has the dog.
Yep.
They have better scouting and better treasure potential, so they usually win H1 quite hard.
Oh, that's so good. 120 XP, 30 gold, 95 wood. That is a monster treasure. Spain is always very happy to see that. In fact, I think I say that about every civ. I think wood is just a really valuable treasure, as it turns out, Umeu. And also 150 coin as well, which is going to be really useful for H2O when he wants to get up to the next age here. But Mongo10, playing Ottomans, H2O does get the War Dog advantage, and of course the scouting, and Mongo does have to build the trading post, so it's basically out of the scouting and treasure collecting for a whole minute. But what Ottoman do get, Umeu is this insanely fast age up, right? Nearly halfway there, and H2O's only just clicked up.
Yeah, HO went for the 16 vil age up. I'm not a fan. I think Spain has to go for the 15 vil age up. And I tested it on Nilla back in the day, and they should always be able to get it, even if they don't get treasures.
Yeah.
But the map being as big as it is, it might be okay. But I think the 15 vil age up is always a little bit safer because it just makes you age. You can get basically a 7-min FF, and the auto FF is 645, so you're only a little bit slower.
Yeah, by 7 mins, you mean clicking the button to age up at that time, as
no,
opposed
being
to
aged up.
you want to be. Oh wow, that's really fast. I always thought China was the only civ capable of getting up that quickly, and Ottoman, of course, quite early as well. I always thought Spain was a bit later. I always thought 730 was the standard there. But maybe Umeu, this extra vil he's going up with, is indicative of H2O not wanting to play so aggressive, or not go for that standard effect. Wow, 2 forward Rexes coming down from the H2O does scout this, but these are so far to the side that I think really Mongo was hoping that H2O would not see this at all. He does see the 2 Rexes there and is now going to be able to deal with that. But the extra vil that he aged up with, this is now going to be hurting him, right? That's slowed him down quite a lot.
It's too bad that H2O doesn't have 2 caravels in his deck. He could really punish this.
Yeah, oh, that's true. But that's perhaps why Mongo10 is building it on the coast. He does not see H2O has any caravels and therefore is able to build them on the coast. He's not afraid of that because, you know, it's not a possibility here. Is able to pick up the Explorer, and that is valuable for him because he's going to need to pick up these small advantages where he can. This is no longer going to be in play. It's not going to have that HP, and certainly not going to be able to snare him as well. But I do wonder what H2O had in mind. Certainly, as you mentioned, went up with the extra villagers, but sorry, the extra village. Perhaps he was going for something that was more economic focused. Maybe that ATP agenda. Certainly now that he's seeing these barracks is not something he'll have on the table. But 10 Janissaries do hit the field. 700 wood. Sorry, 700 food was Mongo10's opening colonial age shipment, and 600 food coming. This is an all-in Jan rush.
Yep.
He's fully committed. How good is this against
send bills to the side to hide and gather food while he's up? Because he won't be able to he doesn't really have any herds in his base.
No,
and his house was kind of positioned too much forward, I think.
Yeah, if that was behind his base, he'd be a lot happier right now. War Dog does go down, and the Explorer is and the town center are going to continue. And moving forward, he wants to kill going to lure these Jans back. He needs to get these crates down. He's because these Jans are just sitting in his base, and with that 600 food shipment that arrived, more Jans to follow. As we can see, the next batch arrives. House does go down. Can H2O hold against what is, I would say, the oldest trick in the book? The all-in Ottoman Jan rush. This is I didn't expect to see this from a player in a semi-finals. Well, I guess I didn't expect to see Ottoman is, I think, the more accurate thing I should have said. But certainly when you do see Ottoman, this is on the cards. The tower is about to go down. Lots of resources on the floor. Desperately trying to get up to that 150 food mark for Minutemen. You can see him really, really... Okay, he in the end decided I'm going to have to sell some resources or cancel a village. I don't know what he did. Something gave. He had less than 150 food, and now he has something like 300.
Probably canceled the village.
Yeah, I imagine he's now going to have to look at him really trying with that explorer to get as much shots as he can in before without losing it, and trying to be very diligent with his town center fire as well, looking to do as much damage as he can to units without overkilling them, and then using the explorer to clean up. Now he's finally going to lose that explorer, sadly for him. The next batch of Janissaries do arrive. He's about to head up to the next stage. 4 Cav and Minutemen have arrived. I wonder if he's timed it with a colonial age shipment. 4 Cav, there they are. This is the time to clean this up.
He has help because this is the mistake that many people do.
And the villagers coming out as well. Go ahead.
They go in too early. It's better to wait for 20 gens and then push and to trickle them in, because you're sieging and you just have so much more siege potential if you go in with double the units. So, and H2O's micro has been so great here. He lost only 1 vill before, and his explorer, as you said, was trying to pick off so many units.
Yeah, and he's going to have 5 lancers arrive pretty soon. Yeah, exactly. We can now see the town center focusing down the cavalry. Those are the real threat here against his lancers. He wants to keep them alive as much as he can, and 5 lancers are going to do so well against these Janissaries here. As you were mentioning, perhaps should have pulled them to the side near his Raxus before going in. Sadly not the case.
Really
Villagers coming out to try and clear up these remaining cav.
He might lose too many vills.
He's losing quite a lot.
Lost 3, yeah.
And no, does not lose that final one there. I think he's trying to buy some time, perhaps. Maybe he was housed and couldn't. 5 lancers do arrive, and that final hussar is now going to die to the town center fire. He's absolutely fine. Does pull 1 lancer off to abuse the fact that his opponent's Jans are in hand combat, and here now going to clean up with these lancers really nicely.
Yeah, and 5 more Jans coming in from Mongo, but I think he should maybe pull them back. No, I think he's okay. Actually, H2O might...
Yeah, he's not doing as good as I thought so here. He does have more shipments on the way, but, he's not managed to really do anything with his villagers. Certainly lost quite a few.
He should have repaired... The town center had to be repaired earlier. That was kind of the problem.
He didn't have the wood, though, perhaps. And then, he had to deal with that fight, and then he had to get the villagers onto the wood. Yeah, but certainly if this was repaired, he wouldn't be in such a bad position here.
I think he will get a shipment in time, though.
Yeah, what are we looking at? 4 lancers or something like...
Probably, yeah. He has to send 4 lancers or 5 hussars.
Yeah, 2 cannons do arrive. Okay, that's ballsy. Is he going to get the vills out to body block?
Yeah.
He's probably going to do that and start... Okay, he's going to clean this up, though.
Oh, yeah, great. Very ballsy, but I think it's probably the right move, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder... Now he has help.
You do have to be careful, though, right? 3 hussars... Oh, no, that's already been sent. He knows that there are no more hussars, and his opponent probably doesn't have a stable. But he probably wouldn't have done this if 3 hussars was a card that Mongo still had available. But he'd already cleaned up the hussars, and now he's finally held... and is now able to start spending the resources that he shipped earlier from the 700 wood and the 700 gold. Oh, yeah, just falconets, nothing else. Is that advisable? What do you do that? Oh, 12 pikemen on the way as well. Okay, not far behind. So he's not. He's going to start trying to kill these vills as well. Oh my god, that vill got shat on.
He won the game now because Mongo is just out of steam. He just shipped 700 wood, but he's gonna lose 2 barracks.
Yeah, and he was so all in on that, and it didn't hold. Really nice to see that though. H2O dealing with that pressure so nicely, but sadly for Mongo, the Lance Corporal strategy, the oldest one in the book, does not pull through. And perhaps there is now. I was worried for a moment. Well, that I guess maybe myself, even somebody like myself, has a bit of bias towards Ottoman. And I think H2O showing that you can deal with that, and perhaps adding a bit of sort of credence behind why Ottoman is considered a silly civ. But Mongo10, absolutely. I think this was a good time if you're going to do this all-in Jan Rush. This is a good time to do it against Spain here and deny H2O the ability to play that ATP style, which he's so good with, right? You don't want to let him do that. And this strat was what that did, but sadly for Mongo, did not pull through. I updated the score in the wrong way. The score is now 3-1 to Mongo10. Match point is now available to H2O. If he takes the next game, he does take the series. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016 semi-finals. My name has been Interjection, casting alongside Mongo10. This tournament is, of course, brought to you by ESO-community.net. Do bookmark our site to keep up to date with the game. Do sign up to our forums. It is the largest Age of Empires 3 discussion forum on the internet. All donations received on this stream and on the website do go to funding future tournaments. The more donations receive, the more frequently we can do these tournaments. Not that we increase the prize pool, but certainly if you want to take part in that or support, if you enjoy seeing this, do consider leaving us a tip. We do appreciate that very much. But we will be back with possibly the decider. But the civilization reset is about to happen, so they now can play any civ. That is something to look out for. That's been happened. But will H2O take the series, or will Mongo have a few more games left in? You will have to see. But we will be back very shortly in just a moment.
Yeah, I think that game was a good example of how it should go.
Chat seems to think, or the high-level players seem to think, that it shouldn't be possible for Spain to FF. Anyway, 5-4.
They're wrong, though.
Yeah, well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. The civilization reset has now happened. They can indeed play any civilization they want to now. All restrictions have been lifted. After this, if they do click in with India and Russia, they won't be able to play those civs, and the it continues like that. But all previous restrictions are now lifted. The reset has happened. By the looks of it, our next matchup will be India vs Russia on Cascade Range. Let's get this underway. This is potentially match point to H2O. If he takes this next game, he takes the series. Mongo has a bit of catching up to do if he's to get back in this. Okay, so it looks like we are going to be restarting.
Okay. It would be, it's the fair thing, in my opinion.
Well, in that case, do you want to talk more about the Ottoman versus Spain then? What do you think? I noticed in the chat that some people, particularly some of the higher level players, were thinking, actually, if done well, Ottoman can do very well there, and Spain can almost never FF. What do you think of that?
I think they can,
most of the time.
But they have to kind of put on so much pressure that Spain makes mistakes. And I think that they can never stop the FF, actually, because if Spain does it properly, they do the 15 Vil FF into 16 Vil, which means they age up at 7 minutes, which autos just can't stop. Whatever they do.
H2O did go up with that extra villager. That is worth pointing out for that last game, and that might be a factor.
That's what made it so close, in my opinion. But I think if Spain goes up that fast, then if they have hunts, then they cannot lose. And there are a few tricks that they have to do. They have to kind of send 2 Vils away on a coin mine that can build houses, or that can build, that can gather food or coin whenever they need it. In order to get the Minutemen.
All right, so there's that. I mean, some people in the chat were mentioning, if he'd had a 1 Janissary perhaps sieging the town centre at all times, just to deny the ability to, sort of heal it, get that repair toggle going, that could have made things very different. But you're saying that Spain usually wins there, so I think it's interesting to hear, and is also one of my favourite matchups, given that they were the 2 strongest vanilla civs. Quite excited to see that, even though perhaps Ottoman is not the most favourite civ of the higher level players. But we are now going to be getting back into game number 5 here. Match point potentially to H2O. If he takes this game, he does take the series. Mongo10, a little bit far behind. He needs to do some catching up. But Cascade Range could be the map for him. He is playing Russia again. He is now allowed to do that as of the reset that has happened. He's going to be happy. Russia, certainly one of Mongo's top civs, one of the civs he is best with. And I think Cascade Range is a map that he can do well on, given that the gold mines, they're only tin mines, right? Not that much gold in them. And also the hunt situation is, not that there's a lack of hunt, but there's certainly, I suppose, less of them. There's less resources than usual. So Russia could be having a good time here.
Worse than last time.
I'll let you tell them. So looks like now we're going to be trying to get some very balanced maps. We're going to keep spawning in until we find one that is completely good, by the looks of it. Looks like I can't be the color purple here. Mongo10 has taken that color. It won't matter for H2O. He will be having the friendfo colors on. Mongo10 will appear as red to him no matter what color Mongo takes.
Well.
I've been doing that more recently, actually, as well. I find it much more easy to spot raids on a minimap when your opponent is red. But attempt number 3, we will take a look at the map balance. Umeu, I'll let you be chief assessor of that situation. And I will go about introducing the players during the meantime. I think I would like to put friendfo colors on, but sadly they will both appear as red if I do that. Yeah. So we are going to have to deal with blue versus purple, which might not be the easiest thing for people to see on stream. My apologies for that, certainly, if you struggle with those particular colors. Sadly, there's not really anything I can do except perhaps ask the players next time to not go for that. But I am indeed filling for time whilst Umeu assesses the map and then potentially puts a comment into, of course, the chat. We will see what he chooses to do. But I think it's worth taking the time to make sure that the map is, of course, going to be fair and balanced. So, by the looks of it, assuming that it will be and that Umeu is all over that, 40 food... sunflowers here that are only worth, not 40 food, sorry, 50 food. Sunflowers are normally worth 140 food if we remember Great Plains. But H2O going to be picking up that 50 food treasure whilst his other explorer heads on out into the map to find sort of these muskrat treasures. I was mentioning in attempt number 1 that this map is very different. Earlier in the tournament, we talked about how it's perhaps not very good to go for those perhaps big, small treasures in your base. It's perhaps better to get out on the map and find the bigger ones. But this map doesn't actually have any bigger treasures. It's just these small ones. 30 coin, another 30 coin. We did see, 20 coin over here. There is a 50 food here, guarded by 1 cougar, but that still counts as a tier 1 treasure. This map only spawns tier 1 treasures, not very good ones. So yeah, I think India
all together combined, they actually can be quite good.
Yeah, especially for a civ like India, right? If you've got 2 elephants, or as you're Japan with the 2s, I guess those guys are busy a lot of the time building things. But when you have two exploring units, both of which can pick up treasures, not like France where only one of them can. This is a good map for India, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna go for that. 50
Although
coin
the track shot civs also have a good advantage here because they're so easy to take the bears and the cougars.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to invest any life in that. But equally, I still think Crackshot is perhaps more valuable against treasure guardians that have bigger. So there is that. I guess there are pros and cons for both, but certainly that is the thing to point out in Age 1 that goes on here. And we'll have to count up the treasures and see who gets the better Age 1. But I think H2O, given that he has 2 exploring units, going to be quite happy. And yeah, that's going to be good for him. But as I've been mentioning in the previous 2 attempts, this map might be good for Russia too. The tin mines are certainly smaller. There's only 1,500 gold in each gold mine on this map, so gold could be an issue later on in the game. There is that. We'll have to see. But at the same time, there is adequate food. And H2O, of course, playing India, this doesn't need a whole bunch of food either. So we'll see really how impactful that is.
Food, but it's quite spread out, and a lot of it is in berries.
Yeah, it is a lot of it in berries. But H2O, India doesn't need as much food. What do you make of this?
True. Yeah, that's why traditionally this is a map where we often see a lot of India being played. Also quite a Russia-favored map because of the map control that they can establish.
Yeah. It's quite a small map as well, isn't it?
I prefer to play Spain here because of the native Rush. I'm kind of alone in that.
Well, I'd like to hear you talk about it, but don't, because it's not hugely relevant right now. Maybe afterwards. That sounds really interesting. We might though have a treasure contention, as unlikely as it is on this map. I think H2 is going to pick that up in time, but funny to mention. All right, so that is the early portion of the game here. I think H2O, if we take a look at the treasures, clearly, decisively in the lead here, gotten most of those, and now is heading up to the next stage, both players doing that. Worth pointing out that Mongo10, here he is, will be aging up slightly quicker. He does have that in queue a bit more, and has now switched all of his villagers over to, of course, wood. Will be gathering that 250 wood, that magic number, in combination with, of course, the distributivism, which both players have sent. Neither have villager shipments, but going to be using that wood to lay down a forward blockhouse, and that is what these 2 villages, these forward ones, will most likely be doing. In the south of the map, H2O will be laying down his consulate now. Sorry, market, not consulate, I meant market. And will be getting, of course, that out of his wood, as well as some upgrades, and has indeed elected to build an Agra fort. No surprises here, perhaps. I think there is a merit to building the Agra up where I flared, but given that you're up against Russia, that will be very aggressive, maybe you don't. Maybe you want a more defensive Agra fort. What do you think?
I think he was maybe afraid that it would get blocked if he tried to make it in the middle, which I understand. And it's probably safer indeed to defend.
Oh, those elephants are found the blockhouse.
UK tournament that played this matchup against Darwin, so he knows this matchup quite well, I'd say.
Yeah.
And yeah, sieging down the blockhouse with his elephants is really good to do because I think they can get it like half HP.
Yeah, they're doing, by the looks of it, 10 siege attack, but that's actually 40 siege attack, given that it's in construction. So this is like 2 pikemen sieging a building. That's really valuable. The Explorer of the Russians does come in to do some damage here, gets enough damage on that Explorer, and does leave the blockhouse just before it's built. I imagine that'll go up just as he is out of range. H2O, yeah, really, really valuable. There doesn't want to take any shots on his Explorers. That HP is valuable, of course, because, you know, it can be soaked up in a fight, and also the stomps that they have can sometimes do if they're alive. Certainly more likely to do that. But H2O up to the next stage now. We'll see what his first shipment is. But, oh my goodness, that's really fucking loud. Holy crap. $10 does come in from Villa Medusa.
Very entertaining. Thank you.
Thank you, lady. 1086. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. Of course, we'll be going to the next tournament prize pool. But Umeu.
C5 Cossack from Mongo.
That's his first Russian shipment. And there's 10 Strele as well that he has trained. Gonna be pushing in nice and fast. Mongo10.
And Gurkha coming out from H2O.
Yeah.
Which is what he always does. And it's really hard to defend this, but he can do it. He has the skill to do it. And you can see the elephants of him blocking the Cossack.
Sentries do come out. They're going to scare away the Cossacks. Not much work being done from them at all. And now the elephants can get onto those Strele.
This is great for him. With the elephants now also on the Strelets,
Yeah, and is going to do a bit of extra damage, area damage, before he escapes. And he's trying to get the Explorer out just before final shot. And does get one final volley with the Sepoy and Gurkha as well. Does manage to get it as well. Is now going to bring the sentries forward. And by the looks of it, use them to snare the Strele in place. They now can't get away until they kill all the sentries. And in the meantime, going to take lots of damage from these 3 Gurkha and the 2 Sepoy as well. They have now gone down. And now, of course, Russia is going to try and leave here. Not too much damage done. 5 Cossack shipment neutralized, and the pressure held very convincingly in this early portion here, whilst H2O continues to send 600 wood, and with that, lay down a consulate and set up for the long game.
Yeah, what was his first shipment? If it was 600 wood, right?
Yeah, it is 600 wood coming out of H2O. And that's, you know, certainly a more long-term shipment than 5 Cossacks. Russia here, do you think, I mean, certainly he's coming in again and he's still got the military advantage, but...
I'm not sure what he shipped.
Okay, so 700 wood. I would have
expected 4 Cossacks to be out. Yeah, it's 700 wood from Mongo.
Perhaps Mongo realizes that, alright, I'm not going to get too much. I tried to push in there, H2O, I didn't catch him too well there. The fight didn't, the fight didn't go too well for him, and has decided to, instead of continue mindlessly pushing, drop back and send the 700 wood. Perhaps the safer thing to do.
Work. If he had shipped 4 Cossack with the Strelets that he has, I think it would have done more damage than the first one.
So you think perhaps an error in judgment there? Maybe he was a bit afraid of pushing in and should have committed to it anyway. Do you want to tell us about it?
I think well, he doesn't know what we know, right? But looking at it from bird's eye view, I would say a 4 Cossack and a push would work well here because you can see that H2O is not making anti-cav; he's just making Gurkhas, right? So, but it would have been a trade, so he would have traded kind of like 4 Cossack.
Equally though, this guy needs a lot more housing space if he's training Strele. They have that hidden wood cost of. Well, it says 10 wood there, but obviously they require basically an extra 10 wood because of the 1 population space they're using up. So say perhaps 700 wood is the valuable shipment there for that infrastructure.
It's a safer play, yeah.
Yeah, and of course the market upgrades as well. Also that second blockhouse, which he will need at some point. Nice to get that set up nice and early, I suppose. But yeah, could have done some lasting damage perhaps with a 4 Cossack push, but actually chose to go for the 700 wood. And I think both options are absolutely fine. The question is, though, which one do you go for? Which one is going to be more fine in that absolute moment, that critical moment when you have to make the decision, and perhaps missed a decision there. But what is H2O now up to, do you think?
He's going to add Zambrax, and he's going to go for Gurkha Zam.
Okay.
With probably the 3 Hussar from the consulate later on.
All right, well...
And then he's just going to rely on his micro to kite against his Strelette. because the Gurkha have 4 more range.
This is a more timing-orientated push coming out of Mongo here. The initial one tried to get some early damage done, called out the sentry, so that was something valuable that he managed to get, and also did kind of force H2O to train military units, of course. But now, with the 700 wood, and obviously the 13 Strelets afterwards, this is a timing that's coming in. Sadly for him, Gurkha with the extra range going to make it difficult for the Strela to do too much damage. Minutemen from the Ottoman consulate do come out. In the meantime, though, does manage to get a house down. More Strela and Musketeers joining the fray. This fight, though, what do you think?
I think it's going very well.
Oh, 4 sours.
For H2O. Yeah, 4 sour and 2 sours trained here. He can get the Hussars because he sent the Minutemen, but like all of the Cossacks are dead now. Musketeers are not really in sufficient quantities here to kind of defend against the sour, and there are so many Gurkha here that can really pick off every Musketeer. And we see 5 Musketeers also rallied wrongly into the Agra fort here.
Oh, that's a mistake. He needs them in the fight. They'd make a big difference if they were here. Almost all of the Sawars now cleaned up now, and once they are down, the Strela will be in a good... Well, but I think too much damage has been done. The Strelade mass is dwindling. He really needed those Musks that are nowhere near this fight. If they were up here with the Strelay, those perhaps Sawars would not be such a big deal. He would not have lost as many Strelay, and then the remaining Gurkha mass would be easier to deal with his sort of Strelay army.
Mongo made 2 mistakes. He should have shipped 4 Cossack instead of...
But Umeu, look, 4 Hussars, sorry, 4 Cossacks have arrived, and there aren't any... Okay, Sawars, another batch freshly arriving just in time to deal with these 4 Cossacks. I was a bit afraid there for a moment.
H2O is fine.
Yeah, he's completely okay. Still wanting to get back by the looks of it. Obviously, with the reinforcing Musketeers there, bringing down those remaining Cossacks, and now are going to be going back to the safety of his base.
Yeah, that was a bit of a scary moment, but you can see his micro really guiding every Cossack before they did any damage.
Yeah, and we have to remember Gurkha here are, you know, they count for 1 population, but are stronger than normal skirmishers, and Strelay, they count for 1 population and are significantly weaker than normal skirmishers, so the military unit population is not very accurate for determining the outcome of the fight. So actually the Indian army is really did really well in that fight, when you take that into account.
Switching now to the Brit consulate, so they will be stronger.
Gonna get that HP gains on the Gurkha from the British consulate. So yeah, at this point, let's take a look at the economic unit population.
There's a stable coming down from Mongo, but I think it's too late. He should have. I think he made 2 mistakes. He should have shipped 4 Cossack earlier instead of the 13 Strelat, and he should have added the stable earlier.
You think so? Yeah. Certainly, the extra cab would have been really valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There is
if
that
those
to think
would have
about.
been like 9 Cossack instead of making those Musketeers, if those would have been like 9 Cossack, then he could have maybe caught all those Gurkhas out of position.
Yeah, and that would have been really valuable. But sadly, not the case. The Gurkha is able to get a very good trade on him, and now we move into that mid-game portion where H2O is, you know, up on villagers, 41 villager population, and I believe if we take a look at text being researched, hasn't got it just yet. May not even have it. No, he hasn't gotten the. Well, he's with the British anyway. Never mind. That I was thinking about those 4 villagers that you get from the Ottoman consulate, but never mind. He is up on villagers though, and he does have, of course, both the wood trickles working for him as well. So H2O, as we move into this mid portion of the game, I don't think Russia's done enough damage. I think H2O are going to be completely okay with that. And yeah, H2O now, you know, he's sending those sort of later game upgrades. The camel attack coming in, setting up, gearing up for the long game, and is realizing that he's in quite a safe position here. He's nicely survived the pressure, and Russia, I think, is behind, and he knows it. So H2 are gonna send upgrades and basically force Mongo to make something happen.
Like HO has been sending those upgrades, and Russia has been sending food crates. So you can see a difference coming in there. There are upgraded camels on the field, but no upgraded Boyar units yet. So
yeah, maybe that's the next shipment to come. Boyars does hit the table. There it is, and maybe this does signal go time. 700 food. Obviously not the best shipment, but given that your opponent is, you know, in the spot that he is in, I think 700 food is the right thing to do here. Get up those military units. You need to make something happen as Russia, right? Otherwise, truly the game is over. You can't just drop back and start booming. H2 is just going to do that better. He has more villages. You think aging? Okay.
No, not aging. He could have contained, but the way he played, by going in aggressive and losing those 5 Cossacks basically for nothing, yeah, that really forced him to be a bit more aggressive, I suppose, in the follow-up.
or at least he felt like he had to do that.
Yeah. I wonder what he's waiting for here. He needs to push. He sent the 700 food and massed units off of it, and Boyers has just now hit. If there is a time to push, it is now, or it's very soon. He has to make something happen. But look at that military population. It's in favor of Russia, but really the strength of Indian units here, India has the stronger army.
Yeah, they do, and that's why Mongo is afraid of pushing. He knows that India has the better army, and that Ryan has the better micro, so it will be really hard to kind of punish those Gurkha.
Yeah, here we go. Five musketeers do pop. Yeah, he's got his 2 block counters working away from here. Sadly, though, he can't get all those musks and Strela into combat. The range of the Gurkhas here really going to be coming into play. Yeah, he's going to get back there.
Yeah, and HO a bit reluctant to push in that position. If Russia can win a fight, it's in that spot.
Yep, and also, what's the point? He doesn't need to push. He's got resources. He has access to hunt. There's a coin mine over here. Mind you, that is running out quickly. Only 155 left in that hole. And yeah, well, he does have this mine at the other end of the map, I suppose, and a house to provide some incoming line of sight should any raids go in that direction. Also, has his units positioned on top of this hunt and also near this mine as well. So these units are covering those sort of resource locations. But yeah, H2O, just all he needs to do is wait, right? Russia has to make something happen. H2O is in the lead here with his economy, and he knows it.
He's in the lead, but his map is running out soon, most notably coin mines that you pointed out before, because they are tin mines. They have 500 less coin on them. And he just only have 1 left, and then he has to go to this one, right? Which is a bit exposed.
Yeah.
So he still has like 1 or 2 minutes before he has to push, but...
Yeah, but he's... and that's probably what he's gearing up to go and do, right? He sent Camel Attack, and of course Desert Terror as well. So, and perhaps we'll see, a final shipment, something like that, before he chooses to push out. I doubt he'll wait until the coin mine completely runs out. But
he doesn't have Tiger Claws, but he might send the Dravidian Martial Arts, which is the melee combat card.
Yeah, there is certainly that. Military population now in favor of India. Really not a good thing for Russia at all. This fight is going to be very... I think this is time to go, right? But what can Russia do? He sent economic theory. He can't push into this because his units won't win. Look at the military population. We know these Indian units are so much... Yeah, Dravidian Martial Arts does come in. This is push time, and H2O knows it. And Mongo10 has had no reason to actually resign yet. So H2O hasn't pushed into him. So Mongo, of course, is going to keep holding on in case maybe something does go terribly wrong for H2O. But this fight is not going well, and he hasn't been able to push in because he knows he can't. And this is perhaps where the game will be decided.
Yeah, probably. Mongo is still in the game. If he can win this fight somehow convincingly, he might be fine. And it actually seems like he's not doing too bad.
No, he's not, but H2O doing a good job of kiting back there. The Gurkhas getting a lot more damage in than the Strela can. It's just the Strela doing damage against these Sawars, which is rather meaningless, to be honest. These Gurkha, all of them, even the ones in the back, mostly able to get damage, and the Strela cannot do that, and obviously the Musketeers, we know they can't do that either. The Cossacks, they can't push in. Look at this massive Zambrak just waiting on the back line to defend their Gurkha buddies, if they do, and now forcing him back, and look, he has now cleared out this location, pushed the Russian player back far enough to secure a tin mine.
Really
yeah, that was the aim of this push. And here Russia comes back in. He knows he has to take a fight and win it here. He's aware that he can't keep playing the game the way he's playing it. He has to make something happen, even if he is unlikely to happen. Does get a good surround on the skirms though. That's what he wants here.
The Zams may be pulling back a little bit too far there.
Yeah, but still, all the Zams doing damage to exactly what they want to do. Look at that positioning there. Even if they're not explicitly tasked, they will be fighting the Cossacks, which is exactly what he wants. Whilst all of his Gurkha, they will be fighting the Musketeers. Bringing villagers in as well, I guess he has to. This is his mine, but they're going to be soaking up some HP here. And look, all the Musketeers melting away. There will be none left very shortly, and I think we will see the GG come out. H2O is going to be picking up this fight.
Yeah, he did lose a lot of vills there, but he needed them to tank damage. And now he kind of destroyed the Cossack mass from Mongo10, and he still has a significant amount of Zams left, and Gurkhas as well. And there's no way that Mongo will ever get the mass back to...
Mind you, though, Umeu, look at the economic unit population. He's managed to pull ahead. I mean, he has economic theory working for him as well. And the villager count has been growing as a result of, well, Russian villagers just train faster than normal villagers as a way that works. So, actually, the economy's pretty good.
Sacrifice some villagers there in the fight, which I said.
Yeah, that's also it, right? But that's partly what won him the fight so hard.
Army that won't die. His army won't die anymore.
Yeah, and that's the next point I'm coming on to. You're absolutely right. Look, it doesn't matter how big his economy is. If those villagers can't work, which they won't be able to, the Russian units here, the Strelay, are going to be made short work of as these Sours finish killing them up, and also the Zambaraks and the Gurkha as well. And then these villagers on the berry bushes, which I will remind you are on berry bushes, they're not gathering hunt, which of course he has steel traps, and you know that's not going to be available. That's not going to be useful for him here. Or actually, I'm not sure. I haven't checked, but I assume that he does. And here now, these villagers going to go down, or at least have to retreat. And then when do you gather resources? The extra economy. It doesn't matter here. Both blocks has gone out, and their $150 are gone. GG. GL in the finals. Mongo10 does resign, and H2O does progress through to the grand finals of the ESOC Autumn Championships 2016. Perhaps not the most unexpected results, but Ryan Mankell, the water boy, will be there in another grand final of an ESOC tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, this tournament has been brought to you by ESO-community.net. Do sign up to our site. Check it out at least. Bookmark it if you would like to keep up with the Age of Empires 3 scene. We host seasonal tournaments, all worth $1,000, except for this one for some reason. We had a little bit of trouble getting the funding together for that, but hopefully, thanks to the generous donations, we've seen quite a lot of those. It's been really, really nice to see. So if you're looking if you want to help us out for our next tournament, do that. All donations do go to future events, and the more we receive, the more frequently we can do these. There is also, if you want to get involved, a $100 betting tournament as well. What you do is you sign up, you don't put any money in, nothing like that. You get given a whole bunch of imaginary points for free, and then you bet those imaginary points on the outcome of matches that the admins tell you that you can bet on. And whoever has the most points at the end of the tournament does receive $100. So no reason not to get involved. Totally sign up for the next tournament if that's something you're interested in doing. A lot of fun, and definitely a nice way to sort of participate in the tournament. Can be really interesting. Maybe you thought Mongo10 would get 3 victories rather than 1 or something like that. You know, those are the kind of things that the betting tournament's all about. And those, you know, even if the game is decisively in H2O's favor, you can still have quite a bit of fun hoping that they'll win or pick up one more game. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. Coming up next on the show, we do have Lord Raphael versus his opponent, Irish Faithful. Another highly anticipated matchup, and will actually be the one that determines H2O's opponent in the grand finals, which will be next week. So stay tuned for that next series if you are interested. My name has been Interjection, casting alongside Mr. Umeu. Would you like to how do you actually say that? I've called you Umeu for so many years now, but actually, what is your name? This is where you just go, my name's Armada, and I'm like, oh.
No, my name is Umeu. That's how you pronounce it.
Umeu. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, there is certainly that. I had a lot of fun with this series. Congratulations to H2O. Mongo10 is eliminated. We'll see you later on for the next series.
Yeah, which will be Irish Faithful against Lord Raphael, but you probably already said that.